Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and gender of all ages on social media here in the United States and across the globe for this very special presentation of Pop Culture Corner, brought to you by Showcase Cinemas. We want to thank you for joining us for our all-day coverage of Mortal Kombat, which begins right now. Hey, folks, welcome back for our third live show from Showcase Cinema Deluxe. My name is Jack. In a few seconds, I'll be joined by TY and Justice, who are live at Showcase Cinema Deluxe in Dedham. We want to thank Showcase Cinemas for making this possible for us. Remember, we always do it for you and the culture, and we want to stress that it's important to support the movie industry. So at this moment, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my fearless leaders. Here they are. There they are. Guys, welcome.
Jeez, I almost knocked over the popcorn to begin the day.
The whole show's ruined. Cancel it.
Jack, gender of all ages?
Yeah, what's a gender of all ages?
What is that?
Oh, because I'm trying to be inclusive, male, ladies and gentlemen, and genders of all ages.
That was on purpose.
It was a purposeful mistake. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, genders of all ages,
All right, no, but we're super happy to be here. Showcase back at it again. Super hospitable. The place is packed, actually, or
it actually really is.
It has been packed. Yeah. I saw a lot of people here today. Actually, to kind of like break the ice here real quick, he was telling us about an anime movie that's doing really well right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's due to the fact of, so I know, because I've gone a couple of times myself, every now and again when a big anime releases a movie, they'll get a short theater release, but typically speaking, unless it's like Dragon Ball or Naruto, it's not that big. But I'm guessing due to the fact that there's really not that much content out, and everybody we're seeing are mostly children, so they can't go see Mortal Kombat. I don't see a parent in sight. So that's really kind of their only option. That and Raya and The Last Dragon, and they probably don't want to go watch that. So we'll go to anime, right?
Yeah, well, let me ask you guys this. This is our third show. Our first show was on Christmas Day, Wonder Woman. Then we saw Godzilla versus Kong. And we've been seeing the theaters slowly filling up. Are you seeing more people than you saw in the last two shows we did?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I think that's a good thing because
it is.
With each big release, a bigger crowd is coming.
Right.
We saw this with first with Godzilla, where the pandemic records were broken by Godzilla. It did pretty well domestically and internationally. I think this movie is going to absolutely murder the international market.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think that's all thanks to our show. I just want to throw that out there.
I'll get ahead of myself. I'm taking all the credit for that. Maybe that was 100% us. It's funny you did it the way you did, because I've noticed a steady increase as we went along, right? So Wonder Woman 84, there was barely anybody there. Yeah, we saw some people, but it wasn't anything crazy. Godzilla versus Kong, we saw a solid amount of people. Oh, okay, people are showing up. But today, I'm seeing genuine crowds of people, 4, 5, 6 of them coming out the theater at a time. So there's a solid amount of people coming in.
Yeah, and you know what? Like we've been talking about this, supporting our theaters. I think people are tired of sitting at home and watching movies and watching TV. They've been doing it now for over a year. You come home, you can't go anywhere, you can't see anything. People want to get out, and what better way to get out for a few hours than to go out, see a movie with your friends or family or your loved ones, and just shut your mind off and enjoy a show, eat some popcorn. That's what it's about.
Right.
Yeah, and so for me, I'll be honest, Mortal Kombat's not necessarily it's not something I'm super well versed in. It's not something I would necessarily like. Even when we took the vote for what are the movies that we're gonna do with Showcase, Mortal Kombat was not high on my list.
Yeah.
Once that, and I think that's a good thing, right? because once I saw the trailer, my objective or my opinion of do I want to see this completely turned around, and it went from, I'll probably see it, whatever, like on streaming or something, and it went to I am so ready for this in theaters. The way it's supposed to be seen, the CGI looks clean, it looks explosive, it looks like it's going to jump off the screen, and to see it in X Plus, I'm really excited.
So, and you know what? We always talk about X Plus and why it's so cool. I know you guys have told everyone before, but for any new viewers joining us, what is X Plus?
So X Plus is Showcase's version of IMAX. The IMAX brand is pretty exclusive to AMC at this point in time. There is one Showcase that has an IMAX theater, but these contracts are big. Showcase went a different way, and they kind of explored creating their own, and that's what it's called. It's called X Plus. So the way I like to say it is, like, not only do you see and hear the film, but you become a part of it. I think why a lot of people maybe didn't like Godzilla vs. Kong was because you lose something when you don't go to the theater, whether it's the feeling of community, the actually going to the theater, or just like the buzz inside of the theater when those monsters are roaring.
The sheer vibration alone, if I did not experience, I can say with confidence that I would not have liked that movie as much as I did if we didn't watch it in theaters. Nevertheless, X Plus at that, right? It's that, like Tyler just said, that sheer roar and vibration, intensity when they actually fight within that movie.
So basically, for lack of a better way to explain it, it couples Dolby Atmos with dual laser 4K projectors. For anyone who doesn't really know, those are really expensive. That's really expensive equipment. It's top of the line, cutting edge kind of stuff. They gave us a demonstration at one point of what the theater's capabilities were, and sitting in there by yourself and when you when you hear the sound spiral across the room so precisely, it's truly remarkable, and I'm super excited to be here again. And IMAX is great, but X Plus is awesome and in its own right. The screen's larger, the seating is more spread out, and in any seat. Kind of when you go to those regular auditoriums, if you sit in the front row, it's not as good. If you sit in the last row, it's not as good. Anywhere in X Plus where you sit, it's calibrated to perfection.
Wow.
So
it's a good thing you mentioned calibration, because a lot of people, they think about just the visuals and they'll say, "Oh, I got a really nice sound system at home." That can't compare, because theaters are designed for sound. Your bedroom is not your living room is not designed as a theater is. So the sound is never going to sound as great in a theater than it will at because at home, and it doesn't care how fancy your speakers are.
No,
like you said, Godzilla vs. Kong. When you hear that roar,
Yeah, I have a Dolby Atmos home theater.
And his setup's pretty damn
and my setup is really, really good. But even I know it's not comparable.
Right.
We
simply can't afford it, right? The type of people that can afford it, they don't come to the theaters because they got their own theaters in their house, right? Like Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
He doesn't come
like
to
Zack Snyder,
Yeah, but so I have a question. Now let's pretend for a second I literally am. I don't know as much about Mortal Kombat. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions, and if you could answer them, and maybe let's talk about the origins or the backgrounds, and let's get into some video game adaptations that maybe didn't do so well, some that did kind of all right, scratch the surface, and then I think there's one that we all can think of that is actually really good, in The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
So
but here's the thing.
But it's a series,
right? Exactly. And I
yeah.
haven't been including Netflix because Netflix has been nailing their game adaptations on the head. They're all really, really good. The Witcher being the prime example. So I don't really count those. I'm talking movies like Doom, Sonic, Silent Hill. Those garbage.
So why haven't? This is a question from me to you. Comic book movies work. Graphic novel movies work. These things work. How come video game movies don't work?
So the best, and this is not an original thought by any means, but the best description I heard anybody detail it in any way was The difference with a video game and any other kind of media is the interactivity of the video game, right? So even a very heavily story-driven game like Last of Us or anything of that sort, it's still only 10% of the game that's story, right? 90% of it is you, the player, doing what you do, your side missions, your main missions, retrievings, whatever, you're gearing up, whatever you're doing, survival kits, whatever it is you're doing within the game. But 90% of it is what you do as a player. So when the movie makers come in to make a movie, all right, we got 10%, we got the story, but what about the rest of it, right? What about everything else? What about when you, the player, are actually playing through these certain parts? What do we do then? And what they've been picking over these years hasn't worked.
Yeah, my approach would be this. Look, when it comes to comic books and video games, the people who made these movies in the past, all they would say is, we have a brand. Who cares if the story is good? Who cares if the actors are good? The people who play the video games are going to go see the movie, and the truth is, no, they're not. Remember, before the MCU, for every Dark Knight, for every Batman 1989 or Superman 1978, you had your Batman and Robins, you had your Spider-Man 3s, you had your Daredevil, you had your Fantastic Four that was so bad they never released it. And it took them a while for the comic book industry to realize, like, oh, we got to take this seriously. It's not enough to put some guy in tights and just make a movie. And I think the video game industry did the same thing. They're like, oh, we got Mortal Kombat, not this one, but the 95 version. We got Street Fighter. Who cares if it's good or well thought out or if the actors are any good? People will go see it. And the answer is not really. People want to see effort on the screen. And from the reviews coming in, this might be the movie that does it. The reviews are, hey, it's fun, it's entertaining. Is it Shakespeare? No, but it doesn't need to be Shakespeare. The actors are good. We know who's some of the actors in this movie. I think this could be a pivotal point in video game adaptations on the big screen.
Right. Well, I think, if I had to pick, right, if you ask me, okay, they do exactly what you said. They put real effort into it. They pay attention to the source material and they pay attention to fans, right? And what game do you think would work best in a movie adaptation? I would pick Mortal Kombat because, or any fighter, really, any fighting game, because it's such a simple concept, right? That 90% of interactivity I was talking about that's absent in these story-driven games, all it is fighting in Mortal Kombat. That's easy to put that on camera, no problem, right? You just make an action movie, that's it. But when you got things like, for example, with Michael Fassbender, he played in Assassin's Creed.
Which right? pause for a moment. Mm-hmm. I'd love to get your intake on why that's a bad movie, because there's two.
I didn't watch it.
Okay, because there's two video game movies that I thought, at least from my perspective, were done well, and that was World of Warcraft and Assassin's Creed, but it's because I've never played either. I don't know anything about them. I watched them as if they were original films, right?
WoW, I think, worked because it's one of those WoW is one of those, like, it's huge. There's a lot there. It's a lot like Lord of the Rings, right? So if you just enter the world of Lord of the Rings and make some random characters and make a story, it will make sense and it will work. World of Warcraft is very similar in that sense. So they can just kind of, all they have to do is place it within that universe that Blizzard has built, and they can build all new characters, all new everything. Nothing really has to connect because WoW isn't that type of game, right?
Okay.
But with Assassin's Creed, on the other hand, Assassin's Creed is very specific. You're that dude, and he's on like a time travel trying to figure out his ancestry type of mission, right? And it's very specific. It's very detailed. It's very centered on him. So when they try to adapt that into a movie, it just doesn't translate correctly because
for me they
knows it one way.
They sort of overcomplicated it. Here's the thing with the games. The games are 95% set in the past, whatever period. It could be during the Crusades, it could be during the Renaissance, and 5% of the story is set in the modern day. Like, what are they trying to find? An artifact or something. And this one, I felt like they were trying to balance it and really, tell some of the story in the past, some of the story in the present. And I think they should have followed the way they do in the games. Keep the story in the past and to help drive the story in the future. Also, they at times they overcomplicated it. I think they overthought it. Like, so the device they use to go back in time is called the Animus. In the games, it's just like a bed with some lights on it, and like it goes. And this one, like they had a thing hook up to your back, and you were moving. I'm like, okay, this is getting a little too complicated, you know. But you know, with Mortal Kombat, the fight choreography we've seen from the trailers, I think it's good. I think it's going to blow your mind, even if the story is not amazing. And I don't need to be amazing. I just need to be fun.
Right, but there's a thing. So Justice was telling me. I just said but like but. Justice was telling me that what the '90s movie suffered from was maybe there not being a good storyline to pull from.
Right.
I think the Mortal Kombat genre or not the genre, the source, the franchise now has some cool stories to pull from.
Right.
But they also have this. I don't know if anyone has thought about this. But I don't know. The CGI looks so clean.
Yeah.
The guy who's the guy with the metal arm?
Jax.
His arm, the way it moves in simulation with his body, it looked very clean. So
and that technology didn't really exist in the '90s. I mean, CGI was there, but it was very raw and it looked bad.
It was ugly. I think you know, the what Tyler was just referring to is it crossed my mind on my way here that, you know, in the '90s when those movies were released, Mortal Kombat was nothing but Mortal Kombat. It was a tournament game. You fought and you fought only.
And it was new.
Yeah, there was no story. There was no talking. There was no nothing. Yeah. You fought. That was it. Nowadays, though, Mortal Kombat very much has a story behind it, and it's pretty deep into it at this point. They've been doing it for at least 10 years now. Because I was just a kid when they started putting stories into it. So for them to like not nail this would be very difficult. You got the R rating. And you got the source material, you should be fine.
Right.
There's no reason this should fail.
And it definitely, so, and Jack, you said something like, okay, maybe the story doesn't need to be as good. Yeah. I feel that maybe it doesn't need to be as good, but it does need to be able to, it needs to be able to flow in a way where, you know, we understand why this huge tournament is happening. Mm-hmm. If they can't give me a good explanation on why this big fight club happens, you know, that's going to upset me a little bit. But that's for me, not really caring about the stories.
But it's completely fair, though. That's basic storytelling, right? So that you should expect that. Basic storytelling, cool action. That's all we really need for this to work.
Yeah, but like just what Prakash is saying, at the end, the gamers are your primary customers. I think they're the intro. So like, everyone who watches the MCU, they don't read comic books. I think a movie like this is trying to break through the mold and maybe just go beyond the gamers. They want to get the, you know, people who look at this and say, wow, this is cool. So like Tyler was saying, like, I don't really know much about Mortal Kombat. I think this movie is going to teach you about these characters. They're going to teach you who Sub-Zero is. They're going to teach you who Jax is, you know, Sonya Blade. They're going to introduce those characters. Whereas I think the previous film was like, hey, look, it's these characters from that game that your son plays, you know, and everyone else is like, who? You know, that's why the MCU works, because they told you who Iron Man is. They show you who the Hulk is. They're not assuming you know. So they want to reach a broader audience. They want non-gamers to say, I don't know what Mortal Kombat is, but I'm pretty sure this movie will tell me because it looks cool. And I think that's what the movie's going to do. But you know what I mean? Like, in the sense that I don't know who these characters are.
Yeah,
right. And if so, I watched that the opening 7 minutes.
Oh, you watched that? Yeah.
I did watch it, and
Warner Brothers released it.
Yeah, the sense that I got from that was that we're gonna find out like the origins and like why the motivations from Sub-Zero, why the motivations from Scorpion.
Good.
Like, and that really like.
That's good.
Just that opening scene made me understand why Scorpion exists.
Right.
Like this dude is hell bent on literally tearing apart.
That's awesome.
Sub-Zero.
That's awesome because their dynamic is pretty. It's good. I like it a lot. It's relatively new. Well, not new, but they didn't go into depth about it for quite some time. But what I know of it, I like a lot. So I'm glad that they're exploring that. That's gonna be.
And a couple of things about that opening that Warner Brothers released. The cinematography they're showing, you know, 17th century Japan, gorgeous. The fight scenes were tight. They were well choreographed. It was enjoyable to watch. And sometimes when you watch a lot of action, the fight scenes just look generic. And I also like something. if this movie was made in the 90s, Scorpion is Japanese. He would be speaking English. Sub-Zero is Chinese. He'd be speaking English. But I like that they weren't speaking. They were speaking in their native tongues. In fact, there's a scene, in that 7 minutes where I think it's Sub-Zero speaking Chinese, and Scorpion is like, I can't understand what you're saying.
You.
Yeah, and I like that they kept it.
Guys, stop! I like that. Stop telling me. I didn't.
Well, we're not ruining the movie. Like they now. I saw that. Obviously, Warner Brothers released it on YouTube. I can't wait because right now I got my tickets. I'm going to be seeing it a little bit later than you guys, but I want to see that scene on the big screen. I want to see that cinematography, and it looked really cool. I mean, that's a hell of a way to sell a movie by giving you the first couple of minutes. And folks, if you saw it on your TV, you need to see it in a theater because it's going to look beautiful. It's beautifully shot, and I'm really excited to see what the next hour and a half or hour and 40 minutes are going to be like.
I think they did that. I think they released the first 7 minutes because the video game adaptations have had such a rough time in the past, and I think they're really proud of this movie, and they want to let you know, like, hey, here's just the tip.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the exception.
This is it.
This isn't a children's movie. This is not like a funny, haha, we're in a video game like Super Mario Brothers. Like, nope, this is a real movie. The violence we saw in it was real. The emotion, I want to see, without spoiling what happens in the opening scene, you're like, oh crap, this is an adult movie.
Let me.
It sets the tone.
The thing I said when I came through this door, it's like, yo, I love this poster, and it's funny that you guys bring up the Sub-Zero and Scorpion dynamic because they're on the forefront, baby. They're top dogs in the whole thing. So dude, I love this poster. It gives me real old school Mortal Kombat vibes. I think they're really gonna nail this one. I said, it's really, really difficult, if you ask me, not to nail it at this point.
There's one thing they could do that I know they're not gonna do, but you mentioned old school Mortal Kombat. At some point, I need to hear that 90s music.
Yeah.
I know they're not gonna do it, but
hey, you know what I found?
I love that.
This is a little tidbit, like side note. The guy at Showcase told me that next time, so they make these for us.
Oh wow!
They're gonna put a logo on it next time.
Oh, I'm so excited!
Right. Yeah, so like the posters will be customized. They'll be Pop Culture Corner Black Widow posters.
Oh, nice.
These are like, these are the ones that are like they got the thick insulation behind it. Yeah. So it doesn't. You can't tack it on the wall. It'll fall right out.
On the wall. Okay. Like this is the type of movie that. Like the blockbusters, movie theaters have existed for a very long time, but the blockbusters made the movie theaters bigger. We were talking about the Oscars this week, and while there were some great movies, Judas and the Black Messiah, Nomadland, as much as I enjoy watching them, and this I know is going to be worth my money. The money I'm going to pay for theaters, right? To see it in X Plus. I don't want to see Nomadland in X Plus. I want to see Mortal Kombat. I want to see Black Widow. I want to see Godzilla vs. Kong. I want to see Wonder Woman 1984. These big budget films are meant to be experienced like this. So, folks, look, it's Friday. Some of you are coming home from school. Some of you are coming from home from work. Go see this. The reviews are good. I already know this is going to be great because those 7 minutes were great. Don't watch this at home.
So, let me ask you guys something because we touched on it a little bit, and I wanted to ask you guys about it. Do you think they're going to try to take this any further? I'm not talking sequels. I'm talking. You think they're gonna try to hold on to this and really make something out of it?
Like a franchise.
Like a franchise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this does well, and Jack, what's the score on Rotten Tomatoes right now?
At the moment, last time I checked, it was above 60, but I'll check it again. But even then, even if it's under 60, like that's kind of. It's right now. It's at 53%, which means it's getting right down the middle. Because you remember, you're gonna have your critics who are not gonna like this type of thing, and you have the critics who are gonna like it.
Just started.
Let's not do us all a favor, everybody in the world. Don't take critics seriously. At least the critics, when it comes to movies like this, the critics they are like, you want their ratings for like indie films and real original films. Like when it comes to Mortal Kombat, guys, they're not going to see it for what maybe you see it as a game.
Right.
They're going to see it as a movie, not as a adaptation.
Critics always come at it with the same kind of eye lens, even though it doesn't require it. For example, Mortal Kombat is a perfect example. You don't want critics' point of view for a movie like this. This movie is about fun, excitement, and entertainment, just like Godzilla versus Kong.
Now, to jump on the other end of that, I'm looking at they haven't had an audience score, but I'm looking at the reviews, the verified ones. They're getting full stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, 3.5 stars, 4 stars. Audiences are loving this. 5 stars again, 4 stars. Like the audiences are loving it. The critics might not like it because but who cares about the critics? People are enjoying it.
It's about the person that goes to the theater. It's about your average moviegoer that maybe like me that doesn't know the full background of Mortal Kombat. They know the characters in passing. Like I played Injustice. There were a couple Mortal Kombat characters in that. I've played older games like the Fight Mortal Kombat games, so I know who the characters are roughly. Like I think everybody should know who Sub-Zero and Scorpion are, right? But then you get those guys like Jax, who I don't know. So I think people. It's about the people that come out to the theater, pay the money and see it. It's about the people that are invested in the storyline for what it is, and it's about the people that are going to come back and watch the next one. If there's enough of those people that are going to come back and watch the second one, then whatever the critics say is whatever the critics say.
I can't imagine a group of normies that wouldn't like this, right? For example, like hoodlums. Hoodlums are gonna love this movie. It's incredibly violent, right? Your working class kind of guys, they'll like it too because they're into cool action and fire and stuff and ninjas, right? They'll think it's cool. Chads will think it's cool because ninjas, same reason.
Ninjas,
right? Ninjas. The only people I see like crapping all over this movie is gamers. Those are only people like your hardcores though that like actually care about Mortal Kombat.
And remember the people who like the Oscar. Remember the impression I did the other day, like see that Mortal Kombat. We don't watch that. We watch movies at Hot House Films. Yeah, go ahead.
Those are the people that like sadly like run the academy though.
They're there.
It kind of bites us in the ass when we don't want it to. What are you going to say, Jack? I'm sorry.
So he just mentioned that Gene Siskel gave the 95 film a thumbs up because you will have those movie critics that can appreciate the movie for what it is. The one thing I wanted to say was I also want to, it's not the bottom line, but I like that there's a large Asian cast in this movie. I like that they went out of their way to do that. I like that the Japanese are speaking Japanese, the Chinese are speaking Mandarin, that they make that effort. And they're not afraid of that. And when I'm on social media, I have a lot. You see a lot of people on your Facebook feed, and I'm seeing people from just like you said, Drip, from different backgrounds, rich, poor, stuffed up or whatever. They want to see this, and they want to see it in theaters. They want to get their movie tickets, and everyone wants to go see this movie. And we're saying, go see it. If you're young, you're healthy. Most people are getting vaccinated now. Go out and Showcase is taking so many precautions. No one's going to be bunched up.
Funny you
no
say
one's
that.
Sitting next to someone else.
It's funny you say that because while we were mid-conversation and he caught both of our attention, I've been watching this kid. He's just going around. He's just cleaning everything. That's all he's doing. He's just walking around with a bottle of disinfectant and a rag, and he's hitting literally everything. I thought he was going to try to come in the room while we were mid-sentence, but he was cleaning the door. I seen him at the soda machine. We've been here for like, I don't know, I'd say at least an hour and some change at this point, and I've seen him clean those soda machines 3 times already. They're on top of it. They are taking care of this. Everything is
and not only that, in the theater, they have, starting last year, they put these new air filters in that recycles and disinfects the air every hour. So like you don't have to worry about like breathing in the same room with someone. No, they're keeping them. That's not a temporary thing. That's in every Showcase cinema.
Which I love because I hate the idea of coming into a place. That's why I don't really do crowds because I hate the idea of like sharing air and it's so I like the idea of upgrading the vents. I
find this interesting. Louis Tan,
I was gonna check that out.
Who is in the film? Says this. Someone tweeted at him and said, and thank you, Prakash, for pointing this out. Someone tweeted at him and said, the movie was epic. If there was ever to be extended cut with more fight scenes, best believe I want it all. Louis Tan says, my favorite fight scene of the film didn't even make the cut. So that should speak to the caliber of
Wow.
what made it.
Wow. Okay.
So-
By the way, do you guys know who Louis Tan is?
I
He
do
was
not.
one of the runners up for Iron Fist, but they didn't cast him because they wanted to go with the guy from Game of Thrones. But he's in an episode where he fights Iron Fist, and he kind of does like this drunk monkey thing where it looks like he's drunk and he's also fighting. It's in season 1 at some point.
Show, yeah.
But I always saw like if Louis Tan had played the Iron Fist, traditionally Iron Fist was Caucasian, who learns martial arts. I think he would have been great, but I'm glad to see he's getting the spotlight because people are forgetting Iron Fist. They're not going to be forgetting Mortal Kombat anytime soon.
The guy with the cone helmet thing, the big helmet, the big one.
Helmet.
This one? No.
Who is he talking about?
Louis Tan. I think he's one of the main characters.
He's playing Raiden. Oh, he's playing Raiden. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm sorry. That's not Raiden. That's I forget his name. That's the dude with the hat that slices through people. I forget his name.
Yeah, this is him right here with the hat. Right
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
He's playing Cole Young. Cole Young. I forgot. Cole Young.
I don't know any of their
I
names.
don't feel bad, Ty. I don't know. His name.
Okay.
I think the movie's going to introduce you who these characters are. I think you should be fine.
Right. I know the characters, but I don't know them all by name because Mortal Kombat is not something I play.
Thank you for patience.
I don't like their fight style. I didn't really like Injustice either for that same reason. But nevertheless, again, I can't say it enough.
So
this has to work.
Okay. So maybe someone can explain to me now why do we think that they introduced a character that is not in the Mortal Kombat? And which is the one? What is it, Johnny Cage or something?
Yeah.
That is not in the movie, but potentially shows up in a post-credit scene. We don't know
He's
yet.
not in the movie? What? It's so weird.
So, or he hasn't been in any of the promotional work.
Huh.
So what's the deal with that? Who is
I
this?
think that Cole Young is going to be an avatar for those of us who don't know anything about Mortal Kombat. Like, it's going to be a wave of because he's probably going to be a guy that, in movies, they have the trope of the guy who asks the questions. Wait, who is that? What is that supposed to be? Like, he's going to get the exposition so that we can learn. Those of us who don't know about Mortal Kombat can learn about Mortal Kombat. That's Sub-Zero. That's Hanzo. He's called Scorpion now. This is the fight that's going on. This is why the tournament's necessary. I think that's what he's like, an avatar for us.
Which is great. I think that's a good thing to do. But why not include this famous character?
So the character, your friend, first of all, Johnny Cage he's the Michelangelo to their Ninja Turtles, right?
Yeah.
He's the
That's a good. I like that. Yeah.
He's famous, but he turns out to be like a great fighter. He's like if I had to cast him, he'd be like a Ryan Reynolds, right? Like that. But as far as to why he's not in the movie, maybe because they want to avoid that whole kind of side of it.
They don't want any. If there's not one joke in this, I'd be okay with it. But I know that one guy, the big guy,
Johnny Cage was one of I would compare him to, in terms of popularity, kind of like how Wolverine is to the X-Men. Would you say that's fair to say, Drip? He's like that one character that everyone loves? No?
No. If anything, I would say he's the one. I would say Scorpion's the Wolverine. And I think Johnny Cage is more like Cyclops.
This is the way I put it. Maybe they want to keep the story concise and introduce kind of the same. The analogy I was going to make was they didn't really have Wolverine and X-Men First Class because they want to focus on one set of characters, and then in the sequels that could be a selling point. Johnny Cage is in this one. You don't want to give away all the gold at once. You don't want to give everyone everything. Let them see a little bit, and then the sequel, Mortal Kombat 2, you got Johnny Cage. You bring in the other characters, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's who I was waiting for." Because then, if you let's say someone skips Mortal Kombat, they'll be like, "Nah, I got to see Mortal Kombat 1 to see." It's a good way of teasing your audience. Don't give them everything. Don't give them everything at once. There's a good phrase that's escaping my head. I don't know. Was it "Don't give away the golden goose"? I don't know, but don't give them everything.
I just don't know why.
Don't give them the Joker, the Penguin, and Bane in one movie. Give them, each their own movie, and save these characters for another movie.
Right, and I just don't know. Like if that's such an important character, why leave out? There must be some reason. There must be maybe something they're building towards a post-credit scene where they kind of tease something in the future. That way, again, they don't give you the golden goose. But they're also like, hey, by the way, there's gonna be more.
Right.
And that kind of leaves audiences like, all right, all right, so we're building.
So let's take that into assumption, right? That's exactly what they're doing. They're building that. Like you guys said, they plan to make a franchise out of this. So they're like I said, the focus is these two clearly.
Yeah.
They're Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So that's why we're not seeing Johnny Cage. First of all, he's too much of a jokester. It will ruin the whole tone of the movie having him around. Because
and everyone say they're copying Marvel, even though that's not the case.
And so the focus will be them two. And again, assuming that they're franchising this and they're going to go forward with more than one sequel. All right, so we start with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. We get into their rivalry. We don't finish the conflict, but we get into it, explain it, what's going on with it. Next, boom. Now the next one is, Johnny Cage and what goes on Earth with Liu Kang and Johnny Cage and Sonya and Jackson. You go into more detail about them. Then the next movie, it's about Shao Kahn and his control, whatever. Right? He's not in this either.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
Yeah, like I said, you don't want to do too much in the first movie. Introduce the characters so that people who've never even watched Mortal Kombat or played Mortal Kombat are like, okay, I know who these characters are. And then you build upon it just like Marvel did. Introduce these characters the first Avengers, there was only 5 of them. By the time you got to Endgame, there are like 35 of them. But you know who they are.
Right. So why did series like The Witcher work? And why didn't video game adaptation like Tomb Raider? Why didn't that work? Like, so why is it maybe long form storytelling?
Well, I think it's two things. One, Tomb Raider was popular outside of Tomb Raider, right? People who never played Tomb Raider knew what Tomb Raider was. So that goes back to that thing where like, hey, we got Angelina Jolie in a character that you've heard of. Who cares about the story? Here it goes. With The Witcher, gamers know about The Witcher, but the larger audience really doesn't. And you have to remember, The Witcher is based off books. So the show is more based off the books because the games are set after the books. And again, in the Game of Thrones world, you have writers taking the source material seriously. They're not treating it like, oh, it's Angelina Jolie in a tight outfit. Don't you want to see that? No, they're gonna tell you the story. Long form storytelling is definitely a part of it, Ty. That's why they're gonna do The Last of Us as a TV show instead of a movie because they want to tell you that story.
It depends on what it is. First of all, you start with the source material. Mortal Kombat is not a show; it's a movie, right? Yeah. The Witcher definitely is a TV show. It's a series because it's such a long story in itself. Like Jack said, it's not only are there several games to it, but there's several books as well. You cannot put that in a movie and make it work. I think, for example's sake, Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider failed simply just because they were lazy. There is no reason whatsoever that movie should have failed. Angelina was like at her peak at this point. Yeah. She's one of the biggest stars on the damn planet, and it's just it's a story about this badass chick that goes artifact hunting. She's Indiana Jones basically. And I think that the only reason that movie didn't work is because whoever made it sucks. That's why that didn't work. It should have worked. So it depends.
Meanwhile, the games work because they're actually trying to make a good story in the video games, even in the newer ones where they kind of reboot it a little bit. They made a new Tomb Raider that tried to be a little bit more earnest. Did you guys see that with Alicia Vikander?
I saw a little bit of it.
It's a shame because it seemed like they were trying to do an earnest job. It was a lot better, but maybe they tried too hard. It's like, I got to write a good paper, so I write a really long paper with a lot of big words that's not really saying anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
And so that Tomb Raider effort, it was a decent effort. The new one, the remake, or reboot they did.
It was definitely a good effort. I just think I don't think it captured enough people where, like, I don't think the star of it had enough star power to bring in audiences on her name alone.
Yeah.
And but that's another thing kind of with this film.
Mm-hmm.
If you look around the table, not many people could tell you what Scorpion's real name is in real life. They know him from every movie they've ever seen.
Yeah.
That he's ever been in, but they can't tell you his name.
The actor?
Yeah.
I can't.
It's like Shoko, something. I can't even tell you.
He's in everything, though.
But that's the thing. So this movie really doesn't even have a lot of star power, but it collectively has been able to do something in the trailer. And I really do think that trailer won over a lot of people. A lot of people that were skeptical when they saw the trailer, they were like you had even guys like Jody at the bad corner.
Right here.
Right
here.
at the other corner, who really thought this was the best trailer that they'd ever seen. Quite frankly,
his name is Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yeah, see,
Hiroyuki
not a lot of people remember that.
No.
And I think this is a movie that could create some more stars. Louis Tan could become a breakout star. I'm not sure who the actor who plays Jax, but this is the type of movie that could make some stars. You know,
hell yeah, and I'm really excited and I'm looking forward to it. So here's something, guys. We are going to be taking calls in the post show. I do have my laptop with me for Google Voice. So I just want to throw that out there. The phone number is 617-863-7077. That's for the post show. From 6:45-ish to about 7:50, we'll be doing the post show. We'll try to keep it as, general as possible. I know there are some people internationally that didn't or aren't going to be able to see the film today. So I don't want to jump into like too many spoilers. But we'll warn you if we're going to. The post show is going to be more for let's talk generally about how the film was perceived, how it hit us, and all that good stuff.
What's that number again, Ty? 617?
863-7077.
7077. All right.
Correct.
Your lucky day.
And in Austin,
663-7077. Here we go. I'm going to put that in the comments.
Yep. So Austin will be joining us for the post show for about 15 minutes as well. So we have a packed and loaded post show. So make sure to join us then, guys. We are wrapping up in a minute now, but we do have a couple readings from our sponsors as well that we always have to do. I don't have the scripts in front of me, so I'm going to wing it. I'm going to wing
this.
No,
I got them in front of me if you want me to do them.
I want to showcase.
No.
How many do we have?
We have 3.
So Jack, you can read them, yes.
Read them.
Yeah, here we go. Our first sponsor is Kai CBD. We are brought to you by them. They are Las Vegas-based health and wellness brand that crafts a full spectrum CBD hemp-derived product line made with 100% love. The brand was created by a 20-year licensed massage therapist for her husband who suffers from chronic pain. Healing is what Kai lives for. Head over to their Facebook or Instagram. The links are in the description below. And mention Pop Culture Corner to receive a 10% off your order of all or any of their CBD products. We are also brought to you by, if I can find it, we are also brought to you by Showcase. Here we go. Ty, do you want to do this one or do you want me to do it?
You can go ahead.
All right. Today, we are brought to you by Showcase Cinema Deluxe. Mortal Kombat comes out now, April 23rd, and we are live from inside the theater for all-day coverage of the film. Make sure to get out and support your local theaters. You see, these larger-than-life movies, the way they were intended was on the largest screen possible. Showcase offers the X Plus, which is their large premium format theater. Not only do you see and hear the film, but you become a part of the movie as well. Find out where you can find your local Showcase Cinema by heading to showcasecinemas.com or by clicking in the link in the description below. Remember, be Showcase safe. Showcase has implemented several protocols to ensure that your focus remains on the film, not on the pandemic, including new ventilation systems in each theater to ensure proper airflow, sanitizer on every wall, and so much more. Enjoy the movie the way it was meant to be with a night out in the theater. All right, guys.
All right. So we'll be back. So like around 6:45. I do want to say thank you to everyone who showed up today so far. We originally scheduled 3 movies with Showcase, so we're at the 3rd movie. So we really want to showcase that the audience will be there going forward. For the Marvel movies are going to start rolling out. We have more DC slate. So this is our chance to show them that it's worth working with us. And keeping to move forward. Pretty soon we'll be able to do the shows from the lobby, interview guests. So it's going to get a lot more interactive. The sky's the limit. And, I believe Showcase actually just set up an interview with Chris Rock for their lady. So, he wants to transition that to us and stuff like that. So that's going to be really fun. The sky is the limit with Showcase, and we want to show them that we are prepared and we are ready. So, we do it for you guys, and we do it for the culture, but mostly we love you.
We love you.
I don't know if that sounded right, but it came out right. It came out right.
We love you. We do love you, and we thank you for the support. So we're going to go see the movie, right?
Yeah, so start the movie around 4:25 if you want to follow along at the same time with us.
Yeah, and if possible, go see it in the movie theater. We'll be here if you to talk all about it, and make sure you watch it in a movie theater. I want to thank you guys for joining us. We will be back around 6:45 or so, given that, movie trailers, post-credit scenes, you never know. But we will be here, so make sure you follow us on social media. The links are in the description below to find out when the next show is. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.